Dhadius is a slot 5 replacement, and he replaces Calliope. And he specifically buffs champions with a high intelligence. And what sets him apart from Calliope in terms of buff ability is that Calliope will only buff champions that are in front of her or immediately in front of her, right? The column ahead. Whereas Dhadius does 2 slots away from Dhadius, so much like Calliope's temporary health buff, but, you know, as the crow flies. So what this enables you to do is for campaigns which have some cool blessings, such as Tomb of Annihilation. This is why I've been here, actually. There is a, where is it? Fallback. So this increases the damage of champions in the rearmost column of the formation by 100%. There's 10 of them, so it's 1,000% buff, right? 1,000%. You can't benefit from this and Calliope at the same time. That's where Dhadius comes in. But it is restrictive because you have to be using high intelligence champions, much like Strix or Ashara or Delina or Makos, or maybe Dhadius himself. So you get 1,000% extra buff on top of using the replacement, and Dhadius is pretty powerful. He's competitively close to Calliope in terms of total buff ability with an E06. That's pretty high. For him being his own damage dealer, he doesn't get Hitch. He benefits from his own buff, obviously, and then no Zorbu. His item kit is self-damage, all damage, whatever, standard for the kind of hybrid-ish potential there. So you do have some ability to make him your main damage dealer, but it's going to take some creativity. His third item slot increases the skill empowerment. Now that's part of his specialization. So that's the that is the, okay, so his specialization is you can pick between empowerment or practice makes perfect. So that is his third and fourth slot item. Obviously I don't use them too much. Practice makes perfect, so that's based off of his base attack, which is Chromatic Orb. So Dhadius tosses Chromatic Orb, which if you're familiar with that, it picks a random element when cast, and it hits the nearest enemy with that. And what Practice Makes Perfect does is it increases his basic attack's damage each time the same element is cast in a row. So if you somehow luck into always casting like what the blue one, right? Oh, blue. It is, oh, now we're at red, but he could infinitely, right? You could probably hack it or whatever to, like, you know, see how high it can go, but I mean, it's infinite. By the way, don't hack, that's bad. So he has some ramp up scalability, but I think it's between, let's see, blue, red, and green we've seen so far. So you have like a 1 in 3 chance of repeating every time. Those actually not bad odds. But generally, you're going to want to pick the Empowered Empowerment as it's more reliable, and it's just an every damage or every hit is going to hit just as hard as the last one type of thing. And then you have it here to focus on, or to have it but not to focus on. One other reason for using Dhadius, maybe while you're pushing, is because of his Magic Missile Barrage. This is crazy. For every enemy that's on the map, a magic missile will be summoned by Dhadius, and plus a couple more for good measure. So if you have 1,000 enemies, you're gonna have 1,005 magic missiles spraying out of his hand, and it's just one of those cool things to see. And it could be just like an ultimate wave clear, you know. He is an event champion, so he has a lot of potential. But I didn't see it, and I was pretty new whenever. Actually, I think Dhadius was my second event champion ever, maybe the first. So I wasn't really too good at gearing him up then, and I've only just recently got him full epic thanks to weekend chests. So his performance is low for me, but it could be a lot higher if I had played my cards right. Looking at his upgrades, we see skill empowerment and practice makes perfect, which doesn't help anyone else but him. And then just skill empowerments and self damage all the way up, which is a little bit of all damage. He is a pretty viable option to pick in terms of buffing. And as an event champion, he will most likely blow Calliope out of the water until you can gear her up sufficiently. So that's been a look at Dhadius.